And you've just heard This Is How We Sound by Gates of Light from the album, also called Gates of Light. And I'm delighted to be joined by a member of the band now, Louise Quinn. Hello, Louise.
Hi, Alistair.
So before we talk about the album, can you tell us a bit about Gates of Light, the band, because it's an interesting lineup?
Um, well, I guess it's myself, Val, and Scott Fraser in London, Kid Loco in Paris, and Tim Chisenti in New York. Um, and yeah, I guess like Val and I have worked with Kid Loco before. I've sang on a lot of Kid Loco's records, although everybody always thinks it's Sarah Cracknell. And Scott, yeah, I met him at the Berkeley Suites at a club night, and we're both from East Kilbride. We just got chatting, and he was like, "Oh, working with Andy Weatherall, I share a studio with him." And he said, it'd be great if we could do a track together. And so he sent me this track, and I wrote, the vocal and the words, and recorded it. And then it wasn't till like 6 years later or something that he got in touch with me, and he was like, "Oh, by the way, that track is being released on Andy Weatherall's Birdscarer label." And he's done a remix of it, and he's DJing in Glasgow tonight. But at that point, I was 33 weeks pregnant with the twins. So yeah, I didn't really feel up to going. A bit of me was tempted to just kind of paint my belly and go and
Go
just
for it.
crazy, go to the Berkeley Suites, and then yeah, very sadly, Andy died, after that. So I never met him, but that's sort of he wrote a handwritten note, sort of liner note for the release, which was called Together More, and he described it as sublime magic,
Sweet.
and so that was kind of like, it was Andy, I guess, that kind of inspired the whole collaboration, because when we were all locked down, and nobody knew whether this was the end of the world or if we'd ever get out, to walk about again. And you really missed that sense of connection. It was like just thinking about Andy's sort of philosophy about how music could be like a portal to, it could transport you, and it had these magical properties. So I guess that was kind of the inspiration for the whole collaboration. And then yeah, just worked with Sean Eve a lot, Kid Loco, and Tim Chisenti. We'd met in New York years ago through a friend, Mal, who very sadly died recently as well, actually. But he was originally from Castle Milk, Mal, and just went out to New York and blagged his way into film and stuff there, and met Tim Chisenti, and that's how we met Tim Chisenti. And I just always thought he would be a good person to work with as well. And we had these amazing conversations during lockdown, just all through email, no like Zooming or anything like that, just through email, just describing what our own experiences were like in Glasgow, London, Paris, and New York. And yeah, it was just this real sense of connection. And Tim, although he was obviously visuals, I mean, he's had this amazing band shot, which is like a composite of us all, but everybody took their own selfie during lockdown, and he put it together to make this amazing band shot. And but Tim was feeding into the music as well, so it's just like I recorded initially. I just recorded 4 tracks. It was Walk On, This Is How We Sound, Inevitable, and Next to Me, and then I just sent them to everybody, and everybody just responded to them, just responded to those tracks, and then started sending me tracks. And one of those other tracks was Belleville Sun, which Jean-Yves sent to me, and he'd called it Belleville Sun. So that just inspired me to write this track, because I guess, like, in lockdown, like a lot of people, it was just like your memories of places just really became really intense. So Bal and I had went over to Paris loads of times to record with Jean-Yves, and he lives in Belleville. I mean, he's so passionate about Belleville. He's been there for years. And so I just wrote this track about, remembering about times in Belleville. I mean, there's other stuff going on there as well, personal stuff about memory and different situations. But yeah, I mean, essentially it's just sort of like this love letter to Belleville. I kind of wrote it, I mean, because at that point the twins were one and didn't have much time. Some nights only had half an hour.
Right.
But I guess it just makes you really value that half hour, and yeah, you really make the most of that half hour. So I remember just like rattling off these lyrics, but then when Kid Loco, his real name's Jean-Yves, and when Jean-Yves got the track, he got back and he was like, "Wow, I was totally crying when I heard that track." He was like, just it affected him so much. I was like, "Wow, that's amazing." So yeah, he was like, "You're an honorary Belleville resident now," or something like that. Whatever, member of the Belleville Massive or something. So okay, I'll take that.
And there's a fantastic, say there's a lovely video that you've made as well to go with that track now.
Yeah. No, I'm working with Grant McPhee. Has been great. Initially, he was supposed to do a video for Walk On,
right?
And I saw. Well, I mean, I'd been aware of Big Gold Dream and Teenage Superstars for ages. I'd been meeting up with like the producer Eric and stuff, and obviously that really just, I mean, that was my youth, all those bands and so much inspiration, and yeah, so I was kind of drawn to that. But also at the time, Grant was posting a lot of stuff about his, what he called his folk horror film, Far From the Apple Tree, which really, the imagery for that really, I thought really tied in well with the album, because I was looking at a lot of like sort of Julian House stuff, and things like that, and a lot of the sort of broadcast videos. And so I got in touch with Grant, and he said he was up for doing a video for Walk On, but then just he's got a crazy shooting schedule for Outlander, so he never made it. So he never made the video for Walk On, but we finally got to work together on Next to Me, which was the next single, and that was actually, so that track was remixed by Scott, so it was like Scott's mix of Next to Me that became the single, and then Grant shot the video. But at that point, the twins were having to do it while the twins were sleeping and stuff, so and he came through to shoot it, and it was just like the worst weather in Glasgow history. It was like torrential rain, just totally steroiding it down. We went to the park, and he managed to shoot some stuff in a bush. But it looked great actually. Newlands Park looked really amazing. And then just had to come home and shoot some stuff, and in the room, just in our bedroom, just through the window. So it was like super quick. but then, yeah, he managed to make a really lovely video. And then after that, he was saying, you know, that he wanted to make another couple of films. So yeah, then we decided the next single would be Belleville's Son. And originally the plan was to send him to Paris to shoot with Kid Loco in Belleville, but the travel restrictions kicked in. So Jean-Yves' son-in-law, I think, is Matthew Kaufman, who ended up doing who ended up shooting the sort of Paris leg of Belleville Sun, and then Grant shot the Glasgow stuff with me again, really restricted by time.
Yeah.
And we didn't have much time at all. And again, we tried to shoot, because he was thinking, you know, we've got all this beautiful footage that Matthew had shot in Père Lachaise. So he was thinking the Necropolis in Glasgow would be a good, you know, partner up to that.
Yeah.
And you know, but I was still rodding it down. In fact, I think it was worse than the last time we tried to shoot outside. And but we managed to get something, and he was shooting on like a camera from 1967 in a Claire.
Yeah.
So he didn't know whether he'd actually got anything, whether it worked, or and then the rest of the, you know, the sort of footage is the lip sync and stuff was just done in our hall. And that was done really quickly. And you know, with my schedule, crazy schedule with Astrid and Oscar, because, well, Alistair and I aren't together anymore, Bal and I aren't together anymore, and so I'm a single mum now. I didn't have time to really learn the lyrics, so my lip syncing was terrible. I think Grant had a terrible job trying to edit the video, but yeah. So yeah, I don't know. He's so fast.
It's interesting because that it was shot with that camera, because there is a kind of slightly grainy 1950s feel to it, isn't there? It feels like a kind of older piece of film. It's really lovely, actually. People should check it out.
Yeah, well, that was the when we first worked together on the Next to Me video. I just sent Grant some photos. It was actually stills of Nico.
Yeah.
At a window, and the album cover for Tapestry by Carole King.
Yeah.
And just and well, also some of, you know, the Warhol stuff that Nico had done, and just like as references. And from that, you know, Grant managed to do the, obviously, like Vashti Bunyan was a big influence for Belleville Sun. You know, I mean, that the kind of flute, melodica flute line and stuff. So yeah, all those, I think Grant's really got really well with that, you know, using the 16mm. It really just complements the sort of 60s influences of the track really well.
So the album that came out last year, but now it's coming out on vinyl. So I mean, how does it feel to revisit those songs? Because I'm guessing that's not something you would normally do. You'd make the album, it goes out, and you move on to whatever's next. But here you're having to go back and kind of re-look at them or re-promote it, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, it's the thing is, Kramer, you know, who runs Shimmy Disc, and you know, he signed us to Shimmy Disc as soon as he heard the album. He was mastering it. He was just like, you know, I want to release this. So he remastered it for vinyl, and it just sounds like a completely different.
Yeah, brilliant.
I mean, it's so amazing, that just the level of detail and that he's picked out, and it just sounds, when I first heard the remaster, I was crying. I just it was so, he'd just done such an amazing job of just picking out certain details. And so yeah, it's almost like a different record, you know.
That's really interesting that you could take these songs and do something kind of new with them as well.
Yeah, and I think also adding the visuals to it as well. The videos make it sound different as well. It's uh yeah, it's all, I guess it's just, that's what it's like being a songwriter, you know, you kind of write these songs and they're kind of like your kids and they go out into the world and then people can do whatever they want. You know, they take on a life of their own, and they kind of almost like not yours after that. um so yeah, yeah, it's amazing. No, it's really good, but I'm looking forward to moving on to new stuff.
Mhm.
um and I think, you know, with more nursery and stuff, I should have more time. I've got my first live performance in 4 years.
Wow.
I'm doing an in store on the 15th of May at Some Great Reward with Gareth Perry
Right.
from BMX Bandits and Randolph Sleep. Um, so yeah, we're going to start rehearsing. So it's going to be the first time that I wouldn't have been playing like the wheels in the bus and Five Little Dogs. um,
You could
hopefully,
throw those in as an encore, that would be fine.
yeah. I mean, I know some of these nursery rhymes are amazing, you know, and kids songs. But yeah, I was actually dropping off vinyl copies to Sandy and Love Music yesterday. And, you know, I was telling him that I had like 2.5-year-old twins, and he was saying, you know, he had grandkids the same age. And I was telling him about Nick Cope, who's great. He's on CBeebies. He's a really brilliant, like, songwriter. So, anyway, I digress.
Well, you talk about you're going to do this in store at Some Great Reward, and but are there any plans to do anything further with the Gates of Light? Because obviously, as you've said, you're in different parts of the world. But what I know about yourself is you've always been able to do a great show with visuals or with drama or with lots of different aspects to it. And I wondered if that's something you might do.
Um, Something like what, another straight ahead record, or no, like.
Well, I wondered if there was two things. I wondered if you were going to do another Gates of Light record, but I also wondered if you were going to take these songs and do something live with them. That was before I knew you were going to be, you know, playing a set in Some Great Reward. But yeah, are there further plans for Gates of Light, as I guess is what I'm asking.
Yes, I'm going to be working with Finlay McDonald, who, yeah, from Teenage Fan Club
Yeah.
and Workspace. I think it's a really good fit. And you know, I've spoke to him. I think, you know, it could be really good. So, I mean, I've already started writing a lot. It's like, I mean, a lot of change in my life personally, you know, with the, you know, separating from Bao. And so, yeah, we won't be working together anymore. But yeah, so that's kind of been coming through my songwriting. And one of the first songs I wrote after we separated was written around a broken toy. It's a sample from a broken toy. So yeah, I've got a lot to write about. And you know, the creative community have been really supportive. um, and yeah, I've just been so lucky having some amazing people to collaborate with.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think I'm really looking forward to getting into the studio and recording again. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think yeah, maybe some kind of film collaboration actually, in terms of time. Gig Those gig theatre shows, you need a lot of
Yeah.
uh, I mean, I do have I have an idea. In fact, I met Matt Lenton this morning when I was dropping the kids off at nursery. He's from Vanishing Point,
Oh, yeah.
and he directed me in the Beggar's Opera. He was dropping off my friend Elle's kids for her. She works at Vanishing Point, and I got talking to him there. So yeah, I mean, I do love doing gig theatre shows, and inevitably, I guess that's just the way I work as an artist. Everything's very personal, and you know, I tend to put my heart and soul into everything. So probably, yeah, it could work. I'm thinking, you know, tour with the twins. I just need to get them on bass and drums. You know, I just
That's the way forward. Definitely. That's how you get more time. You've got all these things to do. How do you get more time to get the kids on rhythm
yeah.
section?
Yeah, yeah. I think I've got an absolutely brilliant rhythm section. Although actually, I think Oscar is a front man.
Ah, right. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got that kind of poetic thing, you know. Astrid, she's a great actress. Actually, I think she might end up being an actress. They're both absolutely amazing, but you know, and you know, remember when I did the Burn Song Songwriting House years ago with Joe Mango, and she was touring with Vashti Bunyan at the time, and she'd been saying that Vashti had said to her, you know, motherhood just completely kills your instinct to write, and I remember like going to a party at Kid Locals in Paris years ago, and Julie Bonnet saying the same thing to me as well. But I found the opposite. I mean, they've definitely, I don't know, they've made me sort of rediscover some things about myself. Yeah, well, yeah.
Well, whatever happens from that, it sounds like it's going to be very exciting. Louise, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. I really do appreciate it.
No, that same here. It was great talking to you too, Alistair.
And this is Gates of Light and When the Leaf Falls.